So today we're talking about something every foreigner living in or even visiting the Philippines needs to understand. There are certain things that might seem perfectly normal to a foreigner, especially if you're coming from the United States, Canada, Australia, or Europe. And these are things that can get you into serious legal trouble right here in the Philippines. And I'm not talking about murder, robbery, or the obvious serious crimes. I'm talking about things that some foreigners may honestly believe are harmless until the police show up at their door. Now, before we get started, I'm not a lawyer, and this video is not legal advice. Philippine laws can change, and the details of a particular case matter. But these are the 11 areas where foreigners need to be extremely careful. I'm Mike, and welcome back to my channel. And before getting this video started, please give this video a like, subscribe to my channel, and share this video. It'll help me grow my channel. Also, remember that bell notification. Okay, we're going to get rolling on this topic, and hopefully it'll help keep you out of jail here in the Philippines. Okay, number 11 on my countdown. Giving money to beggars. Where I live in Cebu, it's illegal to give money to beggars, and it can send you to jail. Now, I have seen people give loose change to beggars in plain view of police officers, so maybe the law isn't always enforced. Number 10, overstaying your visa. Let's start with something that sounds relatively minor. You're visiting the Philippines, your visa or authorized stay expires, and you think, I'll take care of it next week. That can be a very expensive mistake. Overstaying isn't something that you should simply ignore until you decide to leave the country. The Bureau of Immigration has arrested foreigners specifically for overstaying and undocumented status. And that can mean being taken into immigration custody while deportation proceedings take place. In fact, the Bureau of Immigration has recently arrested foreigners in places like Cebu, Bohol, and Naga City for immigration violations. And that brings up a very important point. Being in the Philippines is a privilege for a foreigner, not an automatic right. You need to understand exactly what your immigration status allows you to do. And when that status expires, I've seen other YouTube videos that talk about how some foreigners overstay by a few days or a week. Then it's just a simple matter of going to immigration, informing them that you overstayed, and paying the outstanding fines and charges. Then everything is usually okay. But this is definitely something that you want to take seriously. Number 9, working without the proper authorization. Here's one that catches foreigners off guard. A foreigner comes to the Philippines, starts a business, works remotely, teaches something, manages a restaurant, or performs other income-producing activity, and thinks, hey, I'm just making money online. What's the big deal? Well, immigration and employment rules can be complicated. Having permission to stay in the Philippines does not automatically mean that you have permission to work here. And the Bureau of Immigration has specifically arrested foreign nationals for working without the appropriate immigration documents and permits. This is especially important for foreigners who come here thinking they can simply start working because they have a tourist visa or another type of temporary stay. Before you start earning money from work performed in the Philippines, find out what authorization you actually need. Don't wait until immigration authorities ask you about it. But what about running a YouTube channel? Simply having a YouTube channel, filming videos, and posting content isn't automatically the same thing as being employed by a Philippine company. But once your YouTube channel becomes a business and you are regularly earning income from your activities while physically working in the Philippines, the situation can become more complicated. Philippine labor authorities say foreign nationals engaging in gainful employment generally need the appropriate employment authorization. An ACR card by itself only establishes residency. It does not automatically give the foreigner permission to work. And there is another issue: business registration and taxation. If your channel is operating as an actual business in the Philippines, additional registration and tax obligations may apply. So if you're a foreign YouTuber living here, don't simply assume that having a tourist, retirement, or other resident status automatically gives you permission to operate a commercial YouTube business. The safest approach is to check your specific situation with Philippine immigration, DOLE, and a qualified Philippine tax or business professional. About 4 months ago, I went to the BIR and informed them that I have a YouTube channel. They asked me a few questions and determined that no permits or paying taxes were required, but I still have to pay taxes in the United States. Number 8, you want to be a drug dealer, make a little extra money? Just kidding. So drugs, this is one that should be obvious, but some foreigners still don't understand just how serious Philippine drug laws can be. And one of the biggest mistakes is assuming that just because something is legal, tolerated, or medically available in your home country, it must be okay in the Philippines. That is a dangerous assumption. Philippine drug laws are extremely serious, and possession, sale, distribution, and trafficking can carry severe criminal penalties. And don't assume that a small amount automatically makes the problem disappear. The safest approach is simple. If you're not absolutely certain that something is legal in the Philippines, don't possess it, don't transport it, and definitely don't sell it. And I would be especially careful about bringing anything into the Philippines from another country. What was legal where you came from doesn't necessarily matter once you cross the Philippine border. My drug of choice is caffeine, so I think I'm relatively safe. Number 7, driving without the proper license or driving drunk. Now let's talk about something that many foreigners do every day: driving. Some foreigners arrive in the Philippines and assume their foreign driver's licenses automatically give them unlimited permission to drive indefinitely in the Philippines. That necessarily isn't the case. There are rules concerning foreign licenses, international driving permits, and Philippine driver's licenses, depending on your circumstances and how long you're staying. The Philippine Land Transportation Office, LTO, specifically states that a bona fide tourist who is properly licensed in their home country may operate a motor vehicle for no more than 90 days from arrival. After 90 days, you need a Philippine driver's license to continue driving legally. And then there's drinking and driving. This is one of those situations where a foreigner can make a very bad decision after having a few drinks and get behind the wheel and suddenly find himself dealing with police, an accident, injuries, or criminal charges. And remember, if you're involved in an accident that injures or kills someone, the situation can become dramatically more serious. So don't think of driving in the Philippines as something where you can just get away with if you're under the influence. Know the rules, have the proper license, and if you've been drinking, get somebody else to drive. Number 6, getting into a physical fight. Here's something that surprises some foreigners. You're at a bar, someone insults you, maybe somebody pushes you. You push them back, and suddenly everybody is fighting. A foreigner might think, well, it was just a bar fight. But Philippine law does not give you a free pass because you were angry or because alcohol was involved. Depending on what happened, you could face criminal charges for physical injuries or other offenses. And there's another issue foreigners sometimes overlook. We're guests in this country. Getting into a physical confrontation can create immigration problems. So if someone starts provoking you in a bar, restaurant, nightclub, or anywhere else, sometimes the smartest thing that you can do is walk away. You don't win anything by spending the night in a Philippine jail. Number 5, posting something online that you think is just an opinion. This is especially important for people who live on Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and other social media platforms. The Philippines has laws concerning cybercrime, and online libel is a real legal issue. That means posting accusations or statements about another person online can potentially create legal problems. And here's where foreigners can get into trouble. They might think it's just Facebook, it's just the internet. No, the internet doesn't put you outside of Philippine law. If you accuse someone of being a criminal, a thief, a scammer, or something else, that could damage their reputation. You need to be extremely careful about what you publish. This is particularly important for YouTubers and content creators. Just because you have a camera and a microphone doesn't mean that you can say absolutely anything that you want about another person without consequences. Think before you hit publish. Number 4, recording or sharing private sexual images. This is another area where technology can get someone into enormous trouble. There are Philippine laws dealing with photo and video voyeurism. For example, taking or sharing intimate images of someone without the required consent can be a criminal offense. And here's the part that some people don't understand. Even if the person originally agreed to have intimate video or photographs taken, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have the permission to distribute it later. In other words, consent to record or take a photograph isn't automatically consent to publish it or share it. So if you have intimate photographs or videos of another person, especially an ex-girlfriend or former partner, don't assume that you can just send them to anybody just because you were involved with that person. That kind of decision can have serious consequences. Number 3, domestic violence. This one is a huge one for foreign men in relationships with Filipinas. A foreigner might think that an argument between a boyfriend and a girlfriend or husband and wife is simply a private family matter. Well, it is, as long as the argument doesn't escalate into a physical altercation. Philippine law provides protections against violence against women and their children. And that can include physical, sexual, psychological, and economic abuse in circumstances covered by the law. So if you're living with a Filipina and the relationship becomes toxic, don't assume that being inside your condominium or apartment makes the situation private and beyond the reach of the law. If things get heated, separate yourself from the situation, walk away, cool down, and if necessary, get professional legal help. A relationship argument can become a legal problem very quickly if threats, violence, or abuse are involved. Number 2, sexual conduct involving minors. This should be number 1 in terms of seriousness, but I'm putting it at number 2 because I want to make an important point at the end. Philippine laws protecting children are extremely serious. A foreigner should never assume that a young person's appearance, claims about their age, or willingness to participate somehow makes sexual conduct legal. It doesn't. And offenses involving sexual exploitation, abuse, trafficking, or child sexual material can carry extreme severe consequences. This is also an area where foreigners should never rely on what somebody tells them. If you don't know somebody's age, don't take chances. And don't believe being a foreigner will somehow protect you from Philippine law. It won't. Number 1, assuming Philippine laws are basically the same as the laws back home. And this might actually be the biggest mistake of all. A lot of foreigners arrive in the Philippines with an American mindset, a Canadian mindset, a British mindset, or an Australian mindset. They assume if it's legal where I come from, it must be legal here. And that isn't always the case. The Philippines has its own criminal laws, immigration laws, family laws, traffic laws, cybercrime laws, drug laws, and regulations affecting foreigners. And ignorance of the law generally isn't a magic shield against consequences. Remember, you're not in your home country anymore. You're in the Philippines. And that means you need to understand the rules of the country where you're living in. Now, does that mean that you should be afraid to live here? Absolutely not. I've been living here myself, and the Philippines is home to millions of people from other countries who go about their lives every day without ever having a serious legal problem. But there's a difference between being afraid and being informed. If you're going to live in the Philippines, learn the rules. Keep your immigration documents current. Don't work illegally. Stay away from illegal drugs. Drive legally and responsibly. Don't get into fights. Be careful about what you post online. Respect people's privacy. And most importantly, treat Philippine law with the same seriousness you would expect people to give the laws of your own country. Because the worst time to learn Philippine law is after you're sitting in a police station trying to explain why you didn't know something was illegal. And remember something else. Being a foreigner doesn't mean you have fewer responsibilities. In some situations, it can mean you have additional immigration consequences on top of whatever criminal or civil case that you're facing. So do yourself a favor. Before you do something you're not sure about, ask a qualified Philippine attorney. It's a whole lot cheaper to spend a little money getting legal advice than it is to spend months trying to get yourself out of a legal mess. If you live here in the Philippines, I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever seen a foreigner get into legal trouble because he didn't understand Philippine law? Leave a comment below and tell me what happened. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, subscribe to my channel, and hit that notification bell. God bless, peace out, and I'll catch you in the next video.